kitchen is a bit like a science lab. Understanding the science of cooking helps you make food taste as it should. So why does food behave as it does when we cook it? And what's going on in our head when we eat it? In this episode, The Chemistry of Fruit and Vegetables, find out why cabbage can taste so bad and so good. Look inside the strange inner world of the exploding tomato and taste a princely dish made from the humble cauliflower. This is where we get our fruit and vegetables from our restaurant, Phil Britton's store at New Covent Garden in London. Fruit and vegetables, just like us, are a mass of chemicals, and those chemicals are changing all the time. To keep his fruit and vegetables fresh, Phil stores them at 4 Celsius. But why exactly? Fruit and vegetables, like other living things, are made of cells. The cell walls are composed of long carbohydrate molecules, cellulose, made from lots of sugar molecules joined together. Inside the cells, moisture. Inside the moisture, little molecules containing flavour. If you burst the wall, the moisture escapes and the flavour escapes with it. Heat is one way of breaking those walls. If you store most fruit and vegetables in a warm place, the walls start to break down and everything starts to rot. That's why Phil is so careful to keep his fruit and vegetables cool, and why they're so fresh when we buy them. The cell walls are still intact and the flavour molecules are still inside. On a living plant, the cell walls can protect themselves against molecular attack. But as soon as you pick fruit or vegetables, the cell walls start to break down whatever you do. These chemical reactions go on and on indefinitely. You can slow them right down and almost stop them by lowering the temperature. So don't freeze them, but keep your fruit and vegetables cool. If we don't get our storage conditions correct, well, those molecules exact their revenge, creating something really quite unpleasant. Now here I've got a little choice selection of fruit and veg which have been stored badly. Now these strawberries, let's have a look at this. That is just disgusting. There's no structure to the fruit at all. It's disgusting. It's gone pappy, soft, mucousy. It's really revolting. Oh, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. OK, I'm going to get rid of those. Here I've got some broccoli, which has been really badly stored. Let's unwrap it. Oh, I'm starting to smell some unpleasant things. I deliberately left this to sweat in a warm, dark place covered in cellophane. Unable to renew themselves, the cell walls have rapidly broken down. Result, rotten broccoli. That is really, really disgusting. So, I've got this real whiff of ammonia as well. It's going right up my nose. That is going in the bin. OK, then I get the best job sometimes, I really do. Right, now here are some carrots. I think I'm going to be brave and pick one of these up. Oh, it's really mucousy. And it smells of... Oh, God. It smells of vinegar and that's disgusting. That is such a waste of vegetables. The stench of rotting carrots or broccoli comes from the breakdown of cellulose and other large molecules, all because they've been kept too warm. So keep your molecules fresh. While they are fresh, many raw vegetables don't give off much aroma. The cell walls are so strong, they trap most of the flavour molecules inside. A lot of raw vegetables are indigestible, just because those cell walls are so strong. To break down the cellulose in the cell walls, so they're easier to digest and release their flavour molecules, we cook them. OK, I'm now going to take a cabbage that's been lovingly looked after, stored correctly, and I'm going to ruin it by cooking it the wrong way. Now, this is a pointed cabbage, or Hisbys, it's sometimes called. They're fantastic. For me, they're the best of all the cabbages. They've got wonderful sweetness to them. what I'm going to do is simply cook the leaves in boiling water, but I'm going to overcook them. Now, when we cook vegetables, there's a certain element of cell damage that we want to happen because it releases some of the flavour. If we take that too far, then some unpleasant things happen. I'm going to show you just what. You might remember these from a child, because I certainly do. My grandmother used to think Sunday lunches were fantastic because you could put the vegetables on at the same time as the roast and then it'll be ready together, which is why they turned out the way that you're going to see them turn out. So all I'm going to do here is just take the ribs off the leaves, bring this pot of water to the boil, and I'm going to cook the cabbage, but I'm going to do what my grandmother used to do and leave it in the water for quite a good length of time until the cell walls collapse. When we heat vegetables, the moisture inside the cells heats up. It can then break down those cell walls, releasing the flavour molecules inside. Overcook and all the cell walls break, so all the flavour escapes and flies off into the air before you eat it. Cooking should be all about controlling this process, leaving as much flavour as you can inside. Now here I'm doing the exact opposite. You know, it's exactly this that gives cabbage a bad name. Leaving it in the pan, walking away, forgetting about it, and maybe coming back half an hour later, draining it off, and then serving it as a vegetable. It's disgusting, believe me. I'm going to take a spider now and remove it from the water. Hopefully you can see, oh my God, this is fantastic. Now I've put some of this on here. What's happened, if I just run my finger along the cabbage itself, look at that, look at that. It's like hot seaweed, I suppose. Seaweed probably actually tastes better than this, but it's completely collapsed into a mush. And that's what's happened. The cell walls have just broken down. Actually, I think I'll taste it. Oof. Things I do. It tastes, it's got like a slight dirty character to it, but other than that, it doesn't taste of anything whatsoever. I reckon if you blindfolded somebody and gave them this, they wouldn't know what it was, apart from that it was pretty unpleasant. Now for what my gran should have done. I'm going to cook it so some of the cells burst to let out the flavour, but most stay intact and the cabbage stays crisp. I'm now cooking the cabbage in a mixture of butter and water. I'm trying to extract as much flavour as possible without damaging the cell walls too much, so maximum flavour with minimum damage. Heat breaks down large molecules into smaller ones, letting out some of the flavour molecules within the cabbage, which is why we smell aromas as we cook. So the cabbage looks just about perfect. I'm going to take it out and just drain it on this paper. If you have a look, you can just see that the cabbage has kept its contours and its form. It's because we haven't damaged the cell walls sufficiently for it to collapse, which is a good thing. So now we're ready to plate up. First, the cabbage, braised for 7 minutes, still full of flavour molecules. Next, the cabbage broth, made by taking cabbage further than the braised cabbage, but not as far as my gran's. Roast scallop, and chiffonade of raw cabbage. And there you are, cabbage as you've never tasted it before. But what is flavour, and how do we perceive it? Here's a couple of experiments on flavour you can do at home. You need a very trusting friend for this experiment. Blindfold him. While he's blindfolded, I'm going to feed strawberry to one of my chefs, Dave. Here we go. Choo-choo. You can do those sound effects. It makes the experiment a bit more enjoyable. OK, ready? Don't let go of your nostrils. Without the nose, all he perceives is sweetness. That is taste. He only perceives strawberry when he uses the nose.
Strawberries.
That is aroma. Flavour is taste plus aroma. That's why food seems tasteless when your nose is blocked with the cold. So this experiment is a perfect demonstration of what flavour actually is. It's a combination of taste in the tongue and aroma in the nose. Until David had actually released his nostrils, There was no flavour there. Dave then decided to blindfold me for another experiment, but I had a curious feeling I was in for something nasty.
OK, I'm going to spoon this into your mouth.
Without the nose, I've no idea what I'm eating.
If you let go of your nose.
Oh, God. With it, I immediately realise I'm eating something totally vile. That is disgusting. What is it?
It's a jelly of snuff.
We need to have a serious talk later. All this shows how much we need our nose to perceive flavour, even to know what we're eating. So what's going on if taste isn't flavour? Next, an experiment in Leatherhead which lifts the lid on flavour and taste. As we've seen, flavour is very different from taste. Whatever we eat, we only taste sweetness, sourness, saltiness, bitterness and umami, which is related to monosodium glutamate, MSG, and occurs in things like tomatoes and seaweed. These 5 basic tastes are all perceived through receptors on the tongue, our taste buds. Most of the rest of what's vital to flavour comes through receptors in the nose, via the aroma. We've also seen flavour molecules released from food as we cook it. But what exactly are those flavour molecules doing when we perceive flavour? Leatherhead Food Research Association is funded by the food industry. They do all kinds of food testing here, and they have a panel of expert tasters. There's a scientist here that's been working and experimenting on food for the last 20 years. And it's a relationship between chefs like me and scientists like him that will help us get to the bottom of why our food tastes as it does. This test is based on experiments devised by Dr. David Kilcast, the chemist who's head of the Sensory and Consumer Services division here. In the booths, 3 professional tasters. Blindfold, they'll be fed samples of vegetable puree they have to identify, trying each one with and without the nose. David calibrates the results as we go. As they eat, small flavour molecules are released in the tasters' mouths. Very light and volatile, some fly up out of the food and are carried by the air up to the back of the nose. Flying up the nose, the molecules send electrical signals to the brain, which then tells the tasters they're experiencing aroma. Together with taste signals from mouth to brain, that gives them the flavour by which they normally identify a food. So can these professional tasters tell what they're eating when they're blindfolded, but use both taste and aroma molecules to perceive flavour?
Pureed parsnips. It's very fine pureed parsnip.
It's parsnip.
Apple?
Apple puree.
I think that is stewed apple.
That doesn't present too many problems, but what if they clamp off the nose and take those aroma molecules out of the equation? Number 6, nose clip on. There you go. That's it. I then gave them broccoli with the aroma molecules blocked off.
I would guess it's something like avocado. So it's got a very dense texture.
It's so difficult when all you could do is taste.
Mashed turnip.
It's pea or cabbage or broccoli.
I can't taste anything.
Next, sweet corn. Again, no aroma molecules involved.
I think it's apple.
Okay.
I can't taste it at all.
Apricotty banana.
So without the aroma molecules, even the most expert tasters can get things completely wrong. Jane South couldn't tell if broccoli was pea, cabbage, or broccoli.
The smell is very obviously broccoli, but because we weren't allowed to do that, I had no idea. I was very, very surprised.
Number 1. And she was quite sure that sweet corn was banana.
The texture is just like banana. It is, because without being able to see it or smell it, the texture is like banana. Isn't that amazing? I am really amazed.
Okay, and then you get... This all goes to show that whatever you're eating and whoever you are, aroma molecules in the nose are vital to flavour perception. We've had a look at the chemistry of flavour, and in particular those valuable small molecules that can make our food taste so fantastic. So how do we adapt this to the kitchen? Well, I'm going to show you how to cook asparagus. Traditionally, you're always told to blanch asparagus, which basically means cook it in boiling salted water until done, drain it, and then serve it. The asparagus, by doing that, leaks a lot of the flavour into the water, the heat bursting the cell walls, and those small molecules that are so valuable disappearing. So what I'm going to do is actually cook it in fat. I'm going to use a mixture of butter and oil and cook it in one of these cocotte dishes. Just to show you, at the same time, I'm going to cook some asparagus in boiling water, the traditional way. So one lot of asparagus goes into water to be blanched. The other lot's cooked in butter and olive oil. I then grate in some truffle. Shame you can't smell this, because it is unbelievable. Asparagus isn't the only vegetable that benefits being cooked in this manner. Carrots and courgettes work fantastic this way, far superior than just being cooked in boiling water. The most important flavour molecules in asparagus are very soluble in water. The flavour molecules leak into the water, so cook them in oil. Whereas vegetables like broccoli and green beans are the opposite. Important flavour molecules are soluble in oil and escape if you cook them in fat, so cook these in water. Now they've cooked for 10 minutes, let's take a look. The water the asparagus was blanched in the traditional way has turned green. It tastes of asparagus, but it'll go to waste because what many people now do is they pour the liquid down the sink. A complete waste of all flavour. With the one cooked in oil and served with sliced mushroom and chervil, most of the flavour's still intact. So now to the important part, the flavour. This is the asparagus that's been cooked in the boiling water. It's very watery, very soft. There's a mild asparagus flavour there, but it really is quite insipid. Now to the one that's been cooked in the butter and oil in the covered pot. It's completely different. The texture's more dense. It's got a wonderful earthiness to it, but the asparagus flavour is still prominent. Using oil, we've got the flavour molecules to work with us, not against us. Full of flavour and easy to make at home. Many vegetables don't have bright colours and have little flavour until they're cooked. But many fruits have bright colours and lots of natural flavour. Why? To survive as a species, they want to spread their seed around, so they attract birds, animals, and humans to eat them. Technically, tomatoes are fruit. Once it's ripe, it's brightly coloured, so we can see it. And once it's opened, the flavour's let loose. Inside the tomato, enzymes, catalysts that provoke chemical reactions. Once the tomato's cut, the enzymes can move about inside, snipping up those long molecular chains. All this happens very fast. Once we bite it, the enzymes inside the tomato go crazy. The heat and moisture of our saliva speeds up all those chemical reactions and the big molecules explode at an incredible speed. Liberated, the flavour molecules fly off, creating taste and aroma, and we get a sudden hit of tomato. As with many fruits, the colour attracts the animal. The flavour makes us all want to come back and eat it again and again. But most vegetables need cooking to maximise flavour, like cauliflower. And now for something special, cauliflower risotto. Once you begin to understand the basics of the science of cooking and the psychology of flavour, even the most mundane, unromantic vegetables like cauliflower begin to reveal their potential. In this dish, I've brought together several different ways of preparing cauliflower. Cauliflower broth, cauliflower risotto, cauliflower cream, some very thin raw cauliflower, some caramelised cauliflower, and some dried cauliflower. Now, one of my chefs, David, is going to show us how to prepare it. To make the stock, first warm some butter. Add 1 part finely sliced onion to 3 parts finely sliced cauliflower and sweat until soft. It should stay white and not caramelise. Cover it with cold water, bring to the boil and leave to simmer for 20 minutes. Refresh it with some finely sliced cauliflower and cauliflower leaves. Different textures, more flavour. Then rest it off the stove for a further 20 minutes before sieving. Meanwhile, the cauliflower cream. Heat some butter till it's burnt noisette. That's foamy with a nutty brown colour and flavour. Add raw cauliflower florets. Keep stirring for 10 to 15 minutes till soft and caramelised before pureeing in a blender with milk and butter. Now the cauliflower discs. Take a root of cauliflower and cut it so it's almost barrel-shaped. Then slice this on a mandolin. Cut into round discs. Then take a sheet of cling film and place one disc in the centre. Arrange 5 to 6 discs overlapping to form a circle. Now the dry cauliflower. Take a small floret and slice this finely on the mandolin. Spread the slices on a baking tray and dry them out at 60 Celsius. Finally, the risotto. Bring a little of the stock to the boil and add a portion of the risotto base. When almost completely reduced, add a second ladle of stock. Keep stirring. Keep adding ladles of stock and reducing till the rice is cooked. To finish, keep beating vigorously while you add some cauliflower cream, some mascarpone cheese, grated parmesan, chives and butter. Leave to rest for a few minutes to enhance the texture. More textures, more flavour. And to serve. First, the risotto, then the discs, using a cutter to give that dome-like effect. And 4 cocoa jellies on top. The cauliflower cream, foamed up in the blender. Dried cauliflower on top of the jellies. And finally, a dusting of cocoa powder. And that's it, cauliflower risotto. Thanks to all those textures, cauliflowers you've never had it before.